you know, you're going through the papers there, and often we sit in a position where, well, they're just stories to us. They're stories to all of us. But no, not to the people gathered here in front of us. Friends to the stars, psychologist Pamela Stephenson and showbiz journalist Dean Piper. Dean, who, and the first story we're talking about is Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher, and you know both of them.
Yeah, I have spent time with them in the past, and I'm actually quite sad about this, because I'm sure you'll agree. When you see them and you spend time with them, they're so in love. They were a brilliant couple.
They're a strong relationship.
You didn't even think about the age difference. You kind of just thought, hang on, this is a Hollywood, marriage that is actually going to last a distance.
Yeah.
It's so sad it hasn't.
Well, they've announced that officially now. They are to split. Some would say now this has been building for a few months now, hasn't it?
I think it's been building for a lot longer. Only in the sense that it's a little different for an older man. I mean, we don't often talk about these things, but an older woman, when she falls in love with a younger man, in a very sort of deep way, she is unconsciously preparing for losing him. Because unlike with a man, she's not going to give him children. And a woman who really loves a younger man often has a sense of guilt that she wants him to have children. She wants him to have, quote unquote, a normal life. And so I wouldn't be surprised if there was a piece of Demi, who's a very special woman, that in a sense almost pushed him away out of love for him.
Rumour has it that it's the alleged affair. We must say alleged because we don't know. Apparently on their 6th anniversary he was allegedly somewhere with another woman.
But you're saying that doesn't matter.
I'm saying even if that's true, there's a lot going on beneath the surface.
Are you saying that it's always doomed, that it is practically always doomed?
No, I'm really not.
I'm
saying that there's always a piece of this that is, if you really care about somebody, you don't want to be selfish. And women are very programmed to provide. To provide.
I'm just very interested in this because of the age difference between Ruth and I. I think I just want to know.
Much older, obviously. But her statement is interesting, Pamela, because it says this was last night. She said, "It is with great sadness and a heavy heart that I've decided to end my 6-year marriage to Ashton. As a woman, a mother, and a wife, there are certain values and vows that I hold sacred, and it is in this spirit that I've chosen to move forward with my life." So, what do you think? Reading between the lines,
it does seem that she's speaking about
betrayal.
Strength. But that's not what she said at the beginning. Do you remember when the story first broke? She said something else. She said, "When a man strays, look to yourself." She actually began talking about...
Do you believe in that incident? I think that's very good. I'm going to remember that time. Do you believe in that?
Well, I hope this never happens between you two.
I'll go. I've looked to myself.
Store it in your pocket.
Right.
I quite like this as well, because there's so many celebrities that you hear about alleged affairs. The wags are the perfect people to talk about. The footballers and all the stories that you read in the newspapers. And they never do anything. They don't go through with it. They're not strong people. And I think this is a strong move for someone like her to do.
Let's move on now. And this is a headline in the Mail. And broken hearts. So we're talking about relationships like that leading to a broken heart. Women are more likely to have a broken heart than men. See, and I think that's nonsense. I too. I mean, it makes us like to be cold and cruel.
This story is really about this story. You're so funny. This story is really about the connection, the mind-body connection. It's very interesting to me because, as a psychologist, I'm always thinking about how our psychological state, the stress that we sometimes go through, sadness, depression, anxiety, how those things will affect a person's physicality. And here's actually a classic researched example.
What do you mean, affect your physical? Make you fat or something?
What? This actually says you can have almost the symptoms of heart failure.
Absolutely.
Through grief.
But people recover from it. It is a proper broken heart. In other words, it's not arterial problem that's causing the heart attack as it would be if it were not.
But the nonsense about this is it says women suffer this easier than men.
Well, that's been found in this piece of research.
Yeah, I think this is actually... I think men get quite a bad rap with this. Because I think men have got feelings. I think we should be looked after.
Of course they do. It's just that in this piece of research from that very important learning establishment, the University of Arkansas, that the men came out as not having so many heart attacks.
You often hear, when, especially for an elderly couple who've been married for years and years, and one of them, they're quite healthy, that maybe they lose the husband and they say months later she was gone, she died of a broken heart, or he died of a broken heart. You can almost believe that.
They're saying there's an adrenaline connection, so you get this surge of adrenaline and it causes the heart to
from a surge of adrenaline to a surge of wine, or vodka, or Bacardi and Coke, or something. 1 in 10 people in Britain admit they cannot go 24 hours without alcohol.
I'm
not
shocked.
surprised by this. Who is surprised by this story?
Not me.
Nobody. I mean, I think I'm all or nothing, and I can go a week easily without alcohol, but obviously on the showbiz circuit you need a little tipple. And I think all of my friends as well, they do have a glass of wine when they go
No,
home.
I don't indulge in it at all.
Of course, you're so saintly.
Well, you've just started to enjoy a glass of red wine, haven't you? Yeah.
In the past 3 weeks, I started to sip at the devil's buttermilk, a bit of red wine. But I know other people who can hardly go without for you know, are only pleasant. Actually, I know people are only pleasant when they've got a glass in their hand.
I think it is a problem. I'm sure we've talked about this before. It's that kind of when you're drinking at home, it's almost like a habit, you know. So you don't actually think about I need to go without
you just
a
do
drink.
the top-ups thing.
Yes.
That's when you have a bit of a problem.
Because you can't see it disappearing.
We live in it. This is a drinking culture.
Yeah.
You know, our social life revolves around alcohol. You know, we have places set up. Well, every restaurant, you know, the first thing you're asked when you go in is what do you want to drink, and they mean a beverage. I mean, it's very difficult to resist, and you get into a habit, and then your body begins to acclimatise to it, and you want more.
And you feel fine. You think, I've just had a couple of glasses of wine, but you're doing that every day. It's having
that's
some
the
effect
thing.
on your liver.
And I think it probably has a lot to do with our climate our financial climate that we're dealing with. A lot of people are under a lot of stress, and probably we're going to see more alcohol because people turn to it to relieve them from stress, to relieve them from anxiety. It doesn't.
Now, I would be stressed if I was on a plane
So stressed.
and the pilot went to the loo, right? And the thing is, he didn't come out again. Me, that would turn me to drink.
It sounds like a scene from Airplane, doesn't it? So this plane is going into New York, the pilot goes into loo, gets locked in, and the co-pilot goes, oh my God, what's going on? Thinks that they're under a terrorist attack, and they've got standby jets ready to shoot it down. They're so worried about it.
But this terrible thing is that the guy who tried to help the pilot happened to have a thick Middle Eastern accent. So when he went to summon help, everybody thought that it was a terrorist attack.
When you're in New York, I suppose you just instantly think that.
I'm just really sorry there wasn't a snake in the toilet as well.
We have everything that we're all worried about.
Nadine, thank you very much indeed. A touch upon some of the stories in the papers. Thank you for your
Yes,
take
we'd love
on
to know
those.
your short stories. I've got so many I haven't got time to tell you now because we've got to go over live to the hub and find out what's happening in there.
I love that. Johnny and Matt, fantastic. Guys, about the news review, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher, the alleged affair. We asked you, could you possibly carry on with a relationship after an affair? Now, Emma Foodie on Facebook, if it was a one-off, yes, I would be gutted, but I would want to know why. Johnny?
Well, I wouldn't trust a man like that. I'd get rid of him. That's what I'd do.
Straight out.
Trust... Well, Laura Evans on Facebook says, trust is the key to a healthy relationship. If you haven't got trust, it's not going to work.
That's some good advice. And as well, we talked about the pilot that got locked into the toilet on mid-flight, and we asked you, have you been ever been caught short at an inappropriate moment? Now, Amanda Groom on Twitter, I got stuck in a lift for an hour on the 10th floor of an apartment block. I was freaking out. I would freak out too, mate. I would absolutely freak out about that, Johnny.
Yeah, and I got a message here from Little Miss T on Twitter, so hello to you. She says, I got caught very short once. I was on a plane in turbulence and discovered the loos don't flush if the seatbelt sign is on.
Oh, very interesting.
Not very nice.
Yes, not very nice at all. Guys, keep getting in touch and we'll see you later.